Part 51. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 501. The epic war was about to start. That day, countless people from the 5 major tribes of Lowland Star died generously, and a large amount of life essence condensed to form 4 giant seals of prisoner heaven. The entire Forgotten River was imprisoned. The entire Lowland Star was in turmoil. The irregular life forms in the Forgotten River continued to fall, and both sides were completely exchanging lives for lives, and countless lives died. This epic war lasted for 3 months. None of the teams from the 5 major tribes survived, and all died in the battle. Their death brought a peaceful world for future generations. Looking at the battlefield of the 5 major tribes that had dissipated and nothing was left, Ari understood a lot of things and felt a lot of emotions. The pure Forgotten River was completely polluted and became turbid. Is it finally destroyed? Ari sat at the end of the Forgotten River, and for some reason her heart beat very fast. She remembered that when the heart beats very fast, either good things will happen or bad things will happen. The good things have just ended. Obviously, the bad things will come. She squinted her eyes and looked at the star field outside the sky. It seemed that there was something there that was pulling it, but when she felt it carefully, she could not feel anything. She thought of the spiritual mark that her teacher had left for her. If this star field was attacked by the power from outside the star field, she would absorb this spiritual mark, and then she would understand everything. I hope it won't be used. Ari walked on the sky. She really wanted to feel the breath of her teacher again, but she didn't want the price of doing so to be that the world created by the teacher was destroyed by external forces. She had to protect this place well. Waiting for the teacher to return from the endless time and space, she returned to the eternal forest. At this time, the elves were still prosperous, and only the old generation of elves died. These elves with pure blood and who learned the orthodox cultivation method would be stronger. When they grow up, someone should be able to reach the limit of this world. But that's all. The limit of this world is still a lot worse than hers. Only she, a special case, can break through the limit, and that is all relying on the teacher. Your Highness Ari, you are here. The elves worship her as a great hero, and it was she who saved the entire Loren Star. At this time, the elves are electing the Queen of the Elf, and the elf saints from all branches of the elves are qualified to inherit the position of the Queen. Seeing the arrival of Her Highness Ari, the elves surrounded him. Your Highness Ari, who do you think is more suitable to be the next Queen of the Elf? The few remaining respected old elves are eager to hear Ari's opinion. Ari smiled and looked at the several elf saints who were surrounded, and sighed in her heart. These saints were much worse than the previous Queen of the Elf, and there was no suitable successor. The lifespan of the elves is very long, and the elves with a little realm can live for more than 1,000 years. Those who stand at the top, blessed by the eternal ancient tree, can live longer, and 3,000 years can be natural growth. As for the Queen of the Elf, if she is recognized by the eternal scepter and the eternal crown, she can live even longer. The last elf queen was in her prime and could have protected the elves for a long time, but she resolutely chose to die. Unable to find a suitable successor, Ari stopped talking. She left quietly. While walking on the edge of the eternal forest, she saw an elf about 4 or 5 years old practicing archery, enduring loneliness and pain alone. After shooting the arrows, he began to build a formation. Although it looks so simple and ridiculous, it is already very remarkable that a 4 or 5-year-old elf can do this. What interests Ari most is that the other party has learned divination. Each one is more profound than the other. The elf chose to practice all of them, and this perseverance is not comparable to that of ordinary elves. She watched silently from the side until the elf finished all the practice. I thought the elf should go back, but I didn't expect that the 4 or 5-year-old elf could know so many things. After practicing divination, he started to learn brewing. Such a talent, one mind, and four uses. And each one is done very well. Ari looked at the elf and liked it more and more. The future world also needs elves with strong hearts to protect it. This elf is very good. She walked to the elf who was tinkering with the wine seriously. Your Majesty Ari. The elf felt something moving, looked up, and saw Ari. He was stunned at first, and then he was very surprised. He blushed again. Your Majesty Ari, please forgive me. Your Majesty, you did a good job. Ari praised with a smile and asked, what's your name? Moira. The elf replied happily. Moira? It means destiny in the language of the elves, right? This is the name your elders gave you, Ari said. Yes. Little Moira nodded heavily. My father and mother went to participate in the war to expel monsters, leaving only me. My mother said that she hopes I can change my destiny, not only my own destiny, but also the destiny of the elves and the destiny of the entire Lauren star. Although she was only 4 or 5 years old, her eyes were full of determination. When she spoke of such a lofty ideal, her eyes were still filled with confidence, without the slightest fear or evasion. Because her spiritual strength supported her. She firmly believed that she could do it. You are the darling of the elves in this era, Ari smiled. Don't you know that today is the day to elect the elf queen? No. Moira nodded, but I can't delay what I have to do every day. Mother said that everything must be done persistently and not be disturbed by the outside world. Once I'm lazy, I'll always be lazy, so I can't go. She looked at the holy light in the distance. Be hopeful. One day, I will definitely be able to become the Queen of Elves. Ari touched little Moira's head and said, do you want me to teach you about bows and arrows, magic circles, divination and prophecy, and winemaking? What do you want to learn? Little Moira said coyly, I want to learn it all, is that okay? Ali did not refuse. If you have the confidence to learn it well, I can also teach you, but you have to do it according to your ability. Any path that reaches a high level requires a lot of energy. Learning will make you exhausted mentally and physically. If you give up halfway, you will waste your best time and lose more than you gain. It's okay, I will definitely learn it well. Faced with Ari's questioning, this being who was regarded as a god by the entire elven race, little Moira still did not flinch. Come with me. Ari did not dampen little Moira's enthusiasm. Every living world and every era has its own darling, and Moira may be the miracle worker of this era. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 502. Time flies. Little Moira followed Ari, practicing various skills day after day, year after year. Archery, divination, brewing, formation. With amazing talent and unremitting efforts, little Moira practiced every day for 10 years without missing any of the courses. She was outstanding in 4 fields, far surpassing the elves of the same generation. Such talent and strength shocked the entire elf race. At the age of 14, Moira was successfully elected as the first saint of the elves, and the resolution passed by the elders of the elf temple unanimously. She was designated as the next queen of the elves. Your Majesty Ari, I have become the first saint of the elves. Happy Moira returned to her residence and reported to Ari, but she only saw Ari's face of sorrow. Your Majesty Ari, what's wrong with you? Moira asked. The disaster is coming again. Ari looked at the sky in the distance, and she had an extremely ominous feeling, as if something had penetrated into the star field. It has been a long time since the teacher left. She did not dare to guarantee that the means left by the teacher would not be infiltrated by unknown enemies outside the star field. Moira's face was pale. She knew very well that His Majesty Ari had the means to predict the future. Even His Majesty Ari said so. I am afraid that there will be a great disaster. Lowland Star has just experienced a great disaster. Is it going to happen again? Be prepared. Ari stood up. Go back and tell the Elf Queen that this war may be more difficult than the last time. After that, Ari disappeared on the spot. Moira took a deep breath and ran madly in the direction of the Elf Temple. Ari came to the border of the sky. She saw that the gray film there produced a strange fluctuation. This space also became extremely abnormal. Although the film was not destroyed, a powerful existence infiltrated it through special means. She looked into the void. There seemed to be a tearful mask phantom condensing there. And the energy that guided it here turned out to be the residual energy of the monsters that were sealed and wiped out in the Forgotten River. What should I do? Should I open the mark left by the teacher? Ari remembered that the teacher said that if she encountered an enemy outside the star field, she would open the mental mark, and then she would know who the enemy was. How terrible are the enemies outside the star field? Ari had guessed countless times. But being able to force the teacher to this point and treat them so carefully, those enemies must not be weak, and it would be difficult for her to deal with them alone. Maybe the teacher has left other backups. Merge. Ari thought, and finally chose to merge that piece of mental mark, although the teacher said that merging these huge pieces of information might cause her mental trauma and stagnation. But in order to keep everything left by the teacher, she had to do this. A huge stream of information fragments flowed into her mind, and Ari let out a painful roar. She seemed to see a more distant and vast world outside the star field. The universe is vast, and there are too many lives. This piece of universe alone makes countless lives unable to reach the end in their lifetime. There are also countless lives outside the star field. The strongest among them are the 16 supreme gods, 12 of whom were killed by the teacher, but their true spirits and energy cores are protected by the rules of the universe. The rules of the universe are the only weapon to restrain the teacher. Now the energy cores of the 12 supreme gods are inherited by the sons of heaven from various small worlds, and they also obey the will of the rules of the universe to kill the teacher. Maybe there are other purposes. Crying mask. In memory, this is a feature of the god of destiny. Then is the one who came here the reincarnation of the god of destiny? No. It should not be called a reincarnation, because the memories of the 12 supreme gods have long been erased, and only a wisp of true spirit and energy core remains. The enemies who came should be regarded as the 12 supreme gods recreated by the rules of the universe. She also doesn't know when the enemy will infiltrate. All races can only wait. Waiting for the coming disaster. Somewhere in the void. The crying mask condensed into reality. Finally found it. The burial place of the initiator of the War of Divine Revelation countless years ago. It seems that we will eventually step into the next realm. Did you say so? The 9th Divine Envoy. The Eye of Weeping looked to the side. A skinny old man stood in the void, looking at the 3 life worlds. He was originally the absolute monarch of a small world, but he did not expect to be chosen by the cosmic rules of the chaotic world and inherit the powerful power. The 11th Divine Envoy seems to be here too. That guy is still unwilling for us to call him a Divine Envoy, and he insists on calling himself the God of the Abyss. As they said, the 2 Divine Envoys looked at the largest purple world at the same time. It has been tainted by his power. I'm afraid we can only give it to him first, the 9th Divine Envoy said. It doesn't matter, the 2nd Divine Envoy, the Eye of Weeping, said, leave it to him for now, this matter is under my control. Let's go. The Eye of Weeping took a step forward. Take a look at these 2 life worlds, maybe the key to unlock the secret is in them. The 2 Divine Envoys wanted to get closer. Boom. But just as they approached the world of life, the gray film began to tremble violently, and an extremely powerful energy gathered, carrying a terrifying killing intent. The 2 great envoys retreated immediately. Such a force is likely to wipe them out directly. How can it be so strong? The 2nd envoy was still in shock. If she had forced her way into the world of life just now, she might have been wiped out directly. It seems that the person had already anticipated what would happen today, so he made arrangements in advance. The ninth envoy said, if we want to wait for the gray film layer to disappear, it may take many years. Why don't we call other envoys? The fateful one is the most intact, maybe he can break through here. No. The fateful one has already condensed an independent godhead, and he is not interested in these. The second envoy shook his head. Besides, if we want to take the last step, we can't let too many envoys know, otherwise the final result will be that we kill each other. The history of the long river of time will repeat itself. Then how to break it, said the ninth envoy. Fusion. The second envoy looked at the fate line of the star field and found the only way. The three life worlds all contain the energy left by that person. Only by completely fusing them can we find the traces left by that person before reincarnation. It can also make the rules of the universe operate in a way that weakens this thin film layer. With that person's temperament, no one knows what he will reincarnate into. He may be a super genius, a weak mortal, or an animal. That person may not even be in this star field, playing tricks on them all. Who can guess how that person will act? By the time they guess, it is likely that the matter has fallen into the control of the other party, so they must be cautious. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 503. Can't we step into the world of small life, but we still want to promote its integration? Then there's only one way. Leverage the trajectory of the living world, connect these living worlds, and then start a war between the two worlds, allowing a large number of local life sources to mix to promote the integration of the world. For them, the living world is nothing without the power left behind by him. This method is not difficult to implement. The ninth divine envoy nodded, we just need to remove one obstacle, that little fox. If we don't get rid of her, the two worlds will not be able to fight. We still need to use some external life force. She's already here. The second divine messenger smiled. At this moment, Ali finally felt something and found the two great envoys. You. The god of destiny and the god of manufacturing. According to his memory, Ari recognized the predecessors of the two great envoys. Weeping I smiled and said, they are already in the past tense. I have nothing to do with them. All we inherit is their power, so I hope you call me the second divine envoy, Weeping Eye. He is the ninth divine envoy, the Maker. Facing the two great envoys, Ali felt uncertain. She could feel that the power of the two great envoys was superior to hers, and they were not even able to defeat him. If the teacher had not left any other backup, this would have been a disaster. What are you going to do? Ari asked. We come here with no ill intentions. Crying Eyes said, now the chaotic world outside has fallen apart, and countless lives have suffered unreasonable disasters. We feel pity for them. Would you like to transfer part of your life here? Impossible. Ari refused directly. According to the teacher's description of the god of destiny, he said that this supreme god has 80,000 evil intentions, and one cannot believe a word of it. The god of destiny is like this, and the weeping eyes that inherits its power may not be much better. For the sake of thousands of sentient beings, if you don't agree, we can only enforce it. There are countless lives that can be accommodated in the three life worlds now, so why would you cut off the escape route of thousands of creatures? After saying that, she waved her hand and knocked Ali away. The latter is completely outmatched. But she also discovered that the three life worlds were extremely restrained towards the two divine envoys. It must be the teacher who was protecting her and this piece of pure land. I know how to hide. It is true that Crying Eyes cannot forcefully enter the world of life, but she already has an idea in her mind. She looked at the ninth divine envoy and said, "Ninth divine envoy, you and I will work together and let destiny take action again. Use your silent city to move all the races of Tyrannosaurus star here." At the same time, they erased some of their memories and planted the seeds of hatred. Good. The ninth divine envoy nodded. The shadow of the Thunder Tower appeared behind him. They were able to sneak in here precisely because of the silent city that was made from countless resources in the chaotic world. Boom. The shadow trembled, and the 10th god envoy exploded. Dragon King's Tyrannosaurus star sent all the races of Tyrannosaurus star into the silent city. It did not cost them much to send these low-level beings away. "I'm afraid the 10,000 clans alone won't be able to do anything about that little fox," the 9th god envoy said. "So we need stronger power to contain or even kill this little fox." The second divine envoy thought for a while. "Let's also get the 3 dragon gods under the Dragon King. If it cannot be transmitted at once, send a dragon god over first." "It's hard." The 9th divine envoy said, "It is too difficult for the silent city to transmit god-level life, and a dragon god may not be able to deal with her. Try it first. Let's see how many tricks she has and then make a second plan." The second divine envoy said calmly, "We still have plenty of time, so there is no need to rush." Good. The 9th divine envoy nodded and activated the silent city. The phantom of the rolling thunder tower erupted with terrifying space-time energy. Boom. This roar lasted for several years. The lives of Lulan Star are affected, and together with Ari's message, the major races of Lulan Star are very frightened. One day, the sky of Loran Star was torn open by the falling thunder. A large number of creatures instantly appeared all over the lowland planet. The appearance of these creatures happened too quickly, causing countless native life races to panic. Fortunately, Ali Mian had already warned them, so they didn't hesitate much and immediately launched a battle to expel and annihilate these beings. The war is about to break out. Fortunately, there are no extraordinary enemies this time. The 5 major tribes have developed countless extraordinary powers, and with their geographical advantages, they are not at a disadvantage against all tribes. At the same time, in the sky of the Blue Star world, a huge sub-dragon appeared. This dragon was dark yellow in color, exuding an arrogant aura, and was extremely powerful. Roar. Ari manifested his true form at the same time. The 9-tailed divine fox exuding golden light was killing the mad dragon. With her absolute advantage, Ari quickly suppressed the mad dragon, but her combat experience was too poor and she was distracted from protecting the Blue Star world, so she could not kill the mad dragon for a while. The fight between the two was pitch dark. Ari also felt that Lulan Star was in crisis, but she had no intention of rushing to help. She could even feel that stronger power was penetrating. Being dragged by the mad dragon. Later there was an ice dragon and a bone dragon that exuded an evil aura. Fortunately, the battle memory that the teacher taught her was also absorbed by him bit by bit. She also made rapid progress in the battle, holding back the 3 dragon gods alone. But she could no longer rush to help Lulan Star. She could only send a message to several major races, asking them to sign a peace agreement first, temporarily stop the war, and wait for her to get rid of it before solving it. However, everything was calculated by the second envoy. Looking at Ari who was holding back the 3 dragon gods alone, the second envoy probably felt Ari's limit. 9th envoy, send the captured plague clone of the 6th envoy and the insect king of the 5th envoy over, these should be enough. The 9th envoy replied. Not enough is not enough. Transmitting 5 god-level creatures to such a place is the limit that the Tower of Silence can do at present. Boom. Thunder and lightning broke out in the silent city, and the power of thunder and lightning actually enveloped the void. This was no longer ordinary thunder and lightning, but thunder and lightning containing the power of time and space. Accompanied by 2 bright lights flashing by. Boom. The silent city completely dimmed, turning into a pitch-black giant tower hidden in the void. The Black Plague clone and the Insect King simultaneously rushed towards Ori, who had been fighting the three dragon gods for a long time in the sky above the blue star. The mask of the second god envoy also changed sides at this moment. The angel's tears turned into demon's tears. The star field between the two life worlds twisted, generating a strange gravitational force that slowly sucked the two life worlds towards the middle at the same time. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 504. Countless extraordinary beings on Lulan Star soon felt the abnormality of Lulan Star, but the beings on Blue Star were completely unaware because there were no extraordinary beings. They could only detect some abnormalities through technological means. But they only treated it as an ordinary stellar phenomenon. Ari was besieged by 5 god-level beings in the sky. She could only resist the 5 god-level beings with the support of the life source of the Blue Star world. But if she continued to fight like this, it would only be a matter of time before she was defeated. I can't lose. Ari felt something vaguely. There was still power left by the teacher on Lulan Star, and it was in the eternal forest. It should be the eternal ancient tree. She kept mobilizing the source in her body and sensing that power. She also knew that it was impossible to kill the 5 god-level beings with her power today. The only chance was to use the forbidden technique taught by her teacher. But with her current power, the price she paid to seal the 5 god-level beings would be extremely heavy. Come. Ari stretched out her hand. The eternal ancient tree actually turned into a wooden staff and flew over from Lulan Star. Puff. The power of the ancient tree was too terrifying. The mad dragon that could not dodge was directly pierced by the wooden staff, and its vitality was completely devoured. After killing a god-level life form, Ari felt that the source in her body was rapidly draining away. The weapon left by the teacher was too powerful, and she could not use it at will. The remaining 4 god-level life forms were on guard and would not give such a chance to kill again. Humph. You will pay the price. Ari glanced at the star field outside the sky. The movement of the 2nd and 9th god envoys had disappeared, which proved that the number of god-level life forms that the 2 god envoys could send into the 2 worlds had reached the limit. As long as these 4 god-level lives could be sealed, the 2 worlds would be safe for the time being. This was already the limit she could do. The 2 life worlds were getting closer little by little, and Ari was holding on. She was waiting for an opportunity. She knew that she could not stop the fusion of the 2 worlds. The myriad races of Lulan Star would definitely invade Blue Star. That would be a devastating disaster for the weak Blue Star civilization now. She couldn't let everything left by her teacher be destroyed. She had to do her best. Guard. Boom. The 2 worlds finally connected. Now. Ari found an opportunity, and the wooden stick in her hand burst into brilliant light. The source energy of the 2 life worlds was actually used by her at the same time. Suppress. With the help of this terrifying power, Ari formed 4 marks. The 4 marks fell on the Insect King, the Plague Clone, the Ice Dragon and the Evil Dragon, suppressing the 4 god-level life forms in 4 different directions. Her source power condensed into reality and turned into chains to imprison the 4 god-level life forms. The 2 worlds merged. She imprisoned the 4 god-level life forms in the place where the 2 worlds merged the most, and at the same time sealed this battlefield, forming a sky curtain to block the sky boundary of Lulan Star. Roar. Roar. No. The 4 god-level life forms roared. The terrifying mark completely suppressed them, not only their bodies, but also their souls. They only felt that their strength was being eroded bit by bit. Gradually dissipated. If they continue to be eroded like this, I am afraid that their strength will degenerate and fall into the divine realm, or even fall to a lower realm. Not as good as 2 ants in the low-level life world. It's over. 4 prisoner heaven seals, condense. The suppression mark completely condensed and completely suppressed the 4 God level life forms. After doing this, Ari has become very weak. She is also trapped at the world fusion point and cannot leave. As long as she leaves, the 4 monsters will escape. The rest of the things can no longer be completed by herself, and more assistance is needed to complete the next mission for her. In this state, the 4 God level life forms are worn out much more than her. As long as these 4 are killed, she can regain her freedom. Moira, the next thing is up to you. She threw the wooden stick in her hand and flew to Lulin Star again. In her heart, the darling of this era is Moira. She also saw Moira's talent. If she had not been restricted by the low-level life world, Moira would have achieved great success. Endless sleepiness surged into her heart. She should have fallen asleep. Boom. At this moment, a roar came from her heart. This power? It's the teacher. She looked in the direction of the 3rd purple life world, which was also eroded, and the erosion was more serious. But she had no intention to care. She had no ability to care. It was the limit to be able to save Blue Star and defend Lulin Star. She felt that the power was getting closer and closer, and flew towards her. She finally saw clearly that it was a golden egg. With her knowledge, she couldn't tell what kind of egg it was. But she felt familiar. It was the power from the teacher. Good boy, come here. Ari waved her hand and held the egg in her arms. The gentle power emanating from the golden egg made her feel extremely warm, but she also knew that she could no longer take good care of the egg. It was just that she was no longer able to send a message to the outside world. If she let the egg follow her, it would most likely bring about a devastating crisis. Perhaps this egg was a crucial part of the teacher's reincarnation. She could only hope for other forces. Lulin Star. Moira, who has become the queen of the elves, felt the movement of the fusion of the 2 worlds. She was extremely nervous. Until now, she had not seen His Majesty Ari. Obviously, even His Majesty Ari was trapped in this crisis. She hated the 10,000 races in her heart, but she could only bear the hatred. These invaders will destroy Lulin Star sooner or later. At this moment, a wooden stick fell from the sky and fell into the eternal forest. The withered eternal ancient tree suddenly grew again. But it was much smaller than before. It must be His Majesty Ari who is back. Moira was delighted. She walked over quickly, and a ray of light fell into her hand. Moira, I'm trapped. It may take a long time for me to come back. During this period, there are some things you need to do. The 2 worlds merge, and the myriad races that have transferred here will definitely invade the Blue Star world. Because of me, the civilization there is still very weak. I hope you can protect them, and also protect yourselves, because if Blue Star is destroyed, it will be you next. The power I left behind will stop the strongest of the myriad races. Your next task is to teach Blue Star and teach them the extraordinary cultivation system. I have prepared these systems, you just need to teach them. In the future, I will return, the invaders will be eliminated, and the 2 worlds will surely usher in the dawn of peace. Ari's voice completely dissipated. Moira stood there blankly. Even His Majesty Ari has fallen into such a situation. How big is the crisis this time? She doesn't understand. She can only move forward step by step in the mist. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us, we will handle it as soon as possible, thank you for your understanding. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 505. Time flies. 18 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Dingai City, Shuiya Palace. Due to the continuous growth of the world tree, Dingai City has now become the largest city on Blue Star. Shuiya Palace is also the largest force on Blue Star. Shuiya Palace is very lively today. It is also the first time that Shuiya Palace has been so lively in 18 years. Early morning. Representatives of top forces from all over Blue Star prepared gifts and went to the city that countless people yearn for. Some people say that as long as you stand in Dingai City and take a breath of air, your state of mind will be loosened. Shuiya Palace is even more known as a paradise on earth. Countless people want to go in and explore. However, the mistress of Shuiya Palace is too cold. Even if the demigods go to visit, they will basically be turned away. No one dares to say anything wrong about this. Because Lin Suiying, the mistress of Shuiya Palace, is undoubtedly the strongest person on Blue Star today, and she has the capital to be willful. Not to mention that her husband Su Xian is a great hero who saved the whole world. 18 years ago, Su Xian almost reversed the situation by himself and won the respect of countless people. It is a pity that such a hero is dying. For so many years, he can only rely on his last breath to hang on. The entrance of the royal city. Xianyuan Dali, the vice president of Longdu Academy, carried 2 large bags of gifts and smiled. Next to him stood a girl with half white hair but a pretty face, wearing silver-framed glasses and gentle. I haven't been here for a long time. Xianyuan Dali sighed. I heard that the current Dingai royal city is worth 1,000 gold, and you can't buy land even if you have money. Many of the original residents of the royal city have made a fortune. Dad, if you want to live here, I'll ask for a place for you. Xianyuan Qingqing, who looks like a girl, smiled. The land of Dingai royal city is indeed valuable. But compared to Xianyuan Qingqing, who is now known as the human-shaped abyss destroyer, it is nothing. After all, this is the god of alchemy. With his own strength, he has driven the overall development of the entire Blue Star. He is a person who can compete for the top spot except Su Xian in the past and present. The two walked into the city and walked to the inner city with ease. Since the teacher fell asleep, Xianyuan Qingqing has not been in the spotlight for a long time. No one recognized her when she walked on the street. Will many people come today? Xianyuan Dali asked. No. Xianyuan Qingqing shook her head. Master's wife and teacher don't have many friends, most of them are Xiao Xiao and Xiaojin's friends. Nowadays, there are more and more geniuses. Xianyuan Dali sighed. In the past, 16-year-olds who could enter the Golden Realm were considered good geniuses, and the Starry Realm was a high-level seedling for the 4 major universities. Now, 16-year-olds in the Silver Moon Realm are just the threshold of geniuses, and only the Sun Realm can be valued by the 4 major universities. As he said, he looked far away at the Shuiya Palace in the center of the city. Brother Su's children have inherited their parents' terrifying talents, and are even better. At the age of 18, they have entered the 3rd realm of the king, and are only half a step away from breaking through the demigod. You can't help but admit it. Xianyuan Qingqing smiled. It's meaningless to compete with Xiaoli and Xiao Xiao. No one in the entire Blue Star can catch up with them. Times have changed. The fusion of the 3 realms has greatly increased their cultivation limit. The talents of the children born later have gradually improved, and each generation is stronger than the previous one. The overall situation is thriving. Although the war is still going on, Blue Star and the Abyss have exchanged roles. Now Blue Star is the one that actively attacks. We're here. As they chatted, the two had already walked to the city center. There are few people near the Shuiya Palace. The huge Shuiya Palace doesn't even have a few servants, and most of the work is done by intelligent robots. Xianyuan took a deep breath. The energy of heaven and earth here is indeed rich to an exaggerated degree. If he had continued to practice here, he might have been able to go further and enter the 2nd realm of the king, but there was no need for that. With his daughter here, he could just lie down and enjoy his life. After working so hard for so long, he also wanted to lie down. Their junior sister. In front of him, a burly figure in a purple robe appeared. It was the Abyss Demon Lord Zhang Mu. As soon as he appeared, the surrounding space was distorted. This was already Zhang Mu's extremely restrained situation. If he burst out with all his strength, it would be easy to blast through the world membrane. "Brother, long time no see." The senior brother and sister hugged each other gently. Since the teacher fell asleep, all the disciples were heartbroken and began to practice hard, trying to find a way to wake the teacher up, but they could never find it. Zhang Mu has already entered the pseudo-god realm, and even has the hope of becoming a god. But he has never found the opportunity to become a god. "You go in first, I'll wait for the junior brothers and sisters here, and then we'll have a good gathering. It seems that we have rarely gathered together, and there are always a few people absent." Zhang Mu smiled and said. "Okay, I'll go see the master's wife first." Qianyu and Qing nodded and walked into the mansion. "Big brother." After a while, a man with a big back-combed hair and a suit came over. Before he arrived, he was already shouting in the distance, his voice like thunder. "Oh, the great military godson is here." The two brothers hugged each other. "You teased me too." Sun Xiaokong said helplessly, "I'm already wearing a suit, can't you call me handsome guy?" "Sun Daijin God, I don't like this title." "That won't work. The handsome guy is fake, but the military god is real." Zhang Mu smiled and said, "You are now the first marshal of the Blue Star Alliance. You control the independent combat group, the strongest combat department. You are invincible and invincible. You've knocked down several layers of the abyss, and you deserve the title of God of War." "Hey," senior brother said. So Sun Xiaokong shrugged. These years of fighting in the north and south have left him physically and mentally exhausted. Only by staying with his senior brothers and sisters can he be so relaxed and comfortable. Qing has already gone in, you should go in first." Zhang Mu teased, "Don't tell me that you don't dare to go." Sun Xiaokong smiled and said, "You, the great demon lord, are here to welcome guests. Is it not too much for me, the little military god, to offer smoke here? Let's get together." He promised that he was definitely not afraid of drinking chicken soup. The shadow of a teenager plus the shadow of middle age does not exist. Hi 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 hi. While the brothers were chatting, a cute little baby squirting water jumped over. It was Laolu. After many years, Laolu still hasn't changed, maintaining the appearance of the 4 or 5-year-old baby that Su Xian originally imagined for him. Everyone has been sad for 18 years, but this guy is the only one who is happy every day. He is also the only disciple who is not worried that Su Xian will not come back. It has always believed in its heart that the teacher will eventually wake up, and it is unnecessary to worry about anything. The teacher's spirit in bed should also hope that he is happy, right? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 506. Sixth brother, we thought you wouldn't come. Looking at Mai Wang, who looked like a little cute kid, Sun Xiaokong smiled, you go in first. Sixth brother Mai Wang seems to be the least reliable one in the sect, but in fact he has extremely firm feelings, but his style of doing things seems to be very different from that of the human race. In the first battle of the counter-attack against the Abyss 10 years ago, a human team was cursed by the will of the Abyss world and was almost wiped out. It was Old Six who turned into a Dharma image and rescued everyone. I won't go in. Mai Wang stood beside the two. Today is a good day, let me sing a song. Zhang Mu's face darkened, you'd better not sing. Do you remember that you almost got chopped by the master's wife last time you sang a song called Good Luck Comes? It's okay, I'm not afraid. Mai Wang ignored the two and sang a weird song that he didn't know where he learned from. The more this guy imitates humans, the less human he is. Many bigwigs in the Blue Star Alliance can't stand Sixth Brother, but Sixth Brother's strength is extremely strong, and he is infinitely close to the god level. He only needs an opportunity to break through. After more than 10 years of war, Laolu made full use of the Laolu tactics and stole the Abyss world. While singing, a teasing voice came, "Oh, I was wondering who sang so badly." It turned out to be Laolu. Looking forward, the gray-haired Miao Tian was carrying a bucket of fish and a fishing rod on his shoulder. "Big brother, big brother." Miao Tian smiled and greeted, "In order to celebrate Xiao Xiao and Xiao Jin's birthday, I caught the void fish from the star field." "You are blessed." With the fusion of the three realms, some life fragments gradually emerged next to the world, and extremely rare species occasionally appeared in the star field. Miao Tian's hobby is to catch these things. Zhang Mu smiled, "Void fish is not important, the important thing is to stop the third sister from cooking, otherwise everyone will be finished." The third sister, a woman who has achieved the ultimate in nutrition and taste. It's just two different extremes. Let everyone suffer and be happy. "Haha, I'll go first then." Miao Tian smiled and went straight to the inner palace. "Junior brother Wuxin is here too." At this time, Zhang Mu looked up and saw that the old eighth Wuxin, carrying a coffin, came over, but did not enter the palace. He also knew that it was inappropriate to carry a coffin on such a festive day. Especially if the master's wife saw it, it would bring back sad memories. He just stood quietly on the wall outside the palace. Just like before the teacher fell asleep. Waited for another half an hour. Little Ju Yuia finally hurried over. Now little Ju has lost the immaturity of a girl, but is more like a rather black-bellied queen, which is also related to little Ju's experience over the years. From being ignorant of the world to seeing all kinds of human beings, Yuia thrives in this new world. She is little Ju Yuia in the master's sect. Outside, she is the full moon shining on one side. Just like her physique, she is respected by countless people as the Queen of the Moon. In the Abyss counterattack, Xiaju Yuia, relying on the support of the full moon, summoned countless spirits and wiped out a layer of the Abyss with her own strength. The name of the Queen of the Moon also resounded throughout the world of Blue Star from that time. After 18 years of practice, Yuia's strength has reached the peak. Even if it is not the Moon Knight, she is still firmly in the first echelon of Blue Star's combat power. With the power of the chaotic moonlight, she can even rank in the top 5. With Yuia's efforts, the bloodline evolution system has also developed extremely rapidly on Blue Star. Today's bloodline system is becoming more and more perfect, and geniuses are emerging. Although it is still not as good as the complete professional system, it also helps some humans who have not embarked on the professional path to have a chance to choose. "Big brother, fourth brother." Yuia smiled and greeted, and then looked at Mai Wang, "Old Six, don't sing, if you sing again, the guests will run away." When she first entered the sect, she still maintained enough respect for Mai Wang. As everyone's relationship got better and better, she got used to Lao Liu's style. After all, Mai Wang was a special life, and he could not be called senior brother or senior sister. Lao Lu became everyone's common name. Mai Wang continued to sing. "Big brother, is everyone here?" Yuia asked. "One more." Zhang Mu shook his head, "Your seventh senior sister hasn't come yet." Yuia was surprised, "Seventh senior sister hasn't come yet." She looked at the elf temple next to Shuiyu Palace. Lin was the closest to Shuiyu Palace, but she was the one who came to visit the teacher the least. At first, everyone thought that Lin's feelings for the teacher became weaker after the teacher fell asleep. Until one day Xiaoqi appeared, and the sadness and endless longing enveloped the entire Dingai King city. Everyone realized that Lin was the saddest one. Lin's situation is somewhat similar to that of big brother Zhang Mu and eighth senior brother Wuxin. But it's more miserable. Zhang Mu used to have parents, and now he has sister Xiaoshuang to accompany him. Wuxin can't be judged by common sense, and at the same time, she has her mother as a spiritual support. Lin has suffered a lot since childhood. Her only grandmother died tragically, and she herself is also weak and sick. The teacher is the only ray of hope in Lin's life. Even Her Majesty Moira can't compare with her. Now this only ray of hope is dim. How can Lin, who is already sentimental, not feel depressed? Seventh junior sister may not come. Sun Xiaokong said helplessly. Zhang Mu also sighed. If she sees the teacher, the sadness in the heart of the seventh sister will only get heavier. Her emotional infection ability is too strong. Last time, she almost made the whole Dingai King city cry with her until her tears dried up. Alas. Yuya sighed, then let's go in first, and don't disturb the seventh sister. Yet. In fact, Lin's performance made everyone in the sect very uneasy. After all, Lin has the ability to predict the future, and Lin's perception has always been very accurate. What they fear most is that Lin has actually seen the end of the teacher, so she is so sad. It's just that I didn't tell them because I was afraid that they would be sad. A few people were about to step into the palace. Boom. Suddenly, an invisible wave spread out from the elf temple not far away. Sadness rose from the heart. If their strength had not touched the threshold of the divine realm, they would probably cry immediately. Even if they resisted, they would still feel sad in their hearts. The emotion of missing the teacher was completely aroused. Even the sixth brother, who was not worried about the teacher at all, couldn't help crying. The invisible wave spread crazily and could not be restrained. It enveloped the entire guests who came to Shuya Palace to congratulate, and slowly spread to the distance. Now that Lin's strength has improved, her ability to infect emotions has also increased. Last time, it affected the entire Dingai King city. This time it may be even farther. Everyone had to cry with Lin again. Looking at the tall figure slowly walking out of the elf temple, Zhang Mu, Sun Xiaokong, and Yuya's pupils suddenly shrank, and they felt extremely uneasy in their hearts. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 507. Since the teacher fell asleep, everyone in the sect, including the master's wife, has only seen Lin a few times. Every time I saw Lin before, she had that high-tech eye mask on her eyes. In order to treat Lin's eyes, Ching Ching also thought of many ways, constantly modifying the eye mask, and configuring various prescriptions for treatment. The effect is not bad. Every time Lin would say that she was better, so that everyone didn't have to worry. In fact, she never took off the eye mask. Today, the eye mask on Lin's face has disappeared, and the eyes that make people feel pity and heartache are revealed again. But, according to the teacher's description, after Lin recovers, her eyes will be as dazzling as thousands of stars gathered together. However, at this moment, Lin's eyes are full of blood. How could this happen? Several people rushed over at the same time and landed beside Lin. Seventh junior sister, how are you? Zhang Mu asked with concern. Lin, what's wrong with you? Tell us if you have something to say, don't bear it alone. Yes, the teacher told us before he fell asleep, let us support each other, help each other, tell us if there is anything, and face it together. Sun Xiaokong and Yuya also advised. Teacher! Teacher! Tears of blood fell from Lin's eyes. She ignored the three people and rushed straight into the Shuya Palace. The sadness was even stronger at this moment. Did Master get into trouble? Seeing Lin's appearance, Zhang Mu was panicked. Sun Xiaokong and Yuya's faces also changed drastically. The three followed Lin to the inner palace quickly. At this moment, all the guests from Blue Star were suppressed by this sad emotion, and they looked at the elves rushing over in disbelief. In the impression of most Blue Star executives, Lin was still a weak and pitiful child. In 18 years, Lin had already transformed, with a very tall figure, half a head taller than Moira, and her cold temperament made people dare not approach. Everyone made way for Lin. Let her enter the mansion. Seventh senior sister, what's wrong with you? Su Xiaoxiao and Su Xiaojin rushed over. Their realms were still a long way from other disciples. The peak of the third level of the King realm could not resist Lin's emotional infection at all. Seeing Lin's blood-red eyes, the two felt a little scared. Seventh senior sister. What happened? Until Lin Suying stepped out and blocked Lin. The latter finally stopped. Old teacher is back, she said tremblingly. Just a few words shocked everyone present. 18 years later, Su Xian seemed to be far away from them. On most days, they would not think of this person. But at this moment, this name was mentioned. The strong man who turned the tide and made a decisive decision in the abyss immediately appeared in the minds of countless guests. Is that man finally coming back? But why is Lin so sad? Swish. Lin Suying turned into nothingness and dissipated, and in an instant she came to the place where Su Xian was sleeping. This is the core of the world tree. Su Xian has been placed here in the place with the most concentrated original power in the entire three realms. For 18 years, Lin Suying has come here to accompany her husband and check his physical condition no matter what happens. She even sleeps here most of the time. She is afraid that one day when Su Xian suddenly wakes up and needs her, she will not be around. She doesn't want any more accidents to happen. The feeling of loss is like a knife, and she never wants to try it again. Soon, all the disciples came over, and the guests from Blue Star were left in the Shuiyu Palace with a confused look on their faces. The disciples' eyes fell on Su Xian. The teacher did not wake up. They could only look at Lin. But Lin's eyes were not on the teacher at this moment, but on an empty tree hole above, and the bloodshot in his eyes became more and more dense. At this moment, the emotion was more than just sadness. Everyone felt like they were pinched by an invisible big hand, and they felt suffocated. What happened to Lin? Everyone in the sect was puzzled. They did not dare to stop Lin rashly, fearing that Lin would be attacked. Lin's eyes were fixed on the tree hole. What does it mean? Lin Suying and the disciples of the sect also looked at the tree hole, but they could not find anything. Even when they used the power to distort time and space, there was nothing unusual. However, at this moment, in Lin's prophetic eyes, she saw a vague figure sitting there. Is this my reincarnation? Although it is a little weaker, it is not bad. Another Su Xian sat on the tree hole, looking at another self. He looked at Lin Suying, looked at the disciples, looked at Lin with strong sadness and tears of blood, and he was deeply moved. Although he no longer had invincible strength, this vivid, alive, wrapped in various emotions, but unrestrained feeling was exactly what he wanted. He liked it very much. But he knew that this did not belong to him. His reincarnation would not be him. If his memory was integrated, all the efforts would be in vain. That was not the result he wanted. That Su Xian will completely disappear soon, and what will be left is another Su Xian who has lived a wonderful life. He came here just to envy the image of himself in his mind. Won't disturb the life of Su Xian now. That's great. He smiled happily. With such a group of relatives, partners, and disciples who are willing to risk their lives for you, you have done what I want to do. Until now, Su Xian has no regrets. That is his destiny. As for Su Xian's destiny now, it has nothing to do with him. From the moment he died, he was really dead, especially when he saw that his reincarnated body had a happy family and sincere ideals. He completely cut off the idea of returning. If he wants, he can return now. But he is really relieved. That kind of god is a false god. He looked at Lin and smiled, this little guy is not bad. He can actually sense my existence. It's really distressing to cry. I'm not your teacher, don't be sad for me. Alas. The crying Lin reminded him of Xylee and Ali. It's a coincidence. In this life, Xylee's name is still Xylee. It seems that some things are indeed in common. It makes sense that Lin Suying can become Su Xian's wife. Xylee's memory of the previous life is still sealed in the body of the current Xylee. This is hard for the two Xylee. He felt that before disappearing, he should do a good thing and separate the two Xylee. The Xylee in the previous life was his daughter, and the Xylee now is the daughter of Su Xian. My life ends here. The next excitement will be opened by you. Hello, Su Xian. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 508. Lin's crying put everyone in an extremely depressed mood. Su Xian lay there, still without any movement. Mom. Dad. It's so cold. At this moment, Xylee, who was lying on the bed, suddenly made a sound, and her small body curled up into a ball, seeming to be very cold. Xylee is awake. These days, it was not only Su Xian who was sleeping, but Xylee was the same. But Xylee's life breath was extremely strong. Occasionally woke up a few times in the middle, and each time the state was not very good, and slowly fell into a deep sleep in pain. Before waking up, Xylee's breath was also cold, and he would not pay attention to any of them, but his eyes were very clear, without any hostility. Like a combination of contradictions. This was so many times that Xylee woke up and took the initiative to call for mom and dad. The weak voice made Lin Suying suddenly recall that obedient daughter. She immediately rushed to Xylee. Holding her daughter, she could feel that Xylee's breath had become much weaker, no longer as strong as before. The indifferent breath also disappeared. Xylee in her arms slowly opened her eyes and looked at her mother's anxious face. A little innocence appeared in her eyes, and she stretched out her little hand to touch Lin Suying's face. Mom, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? That word of mom melted Lin Suying's heart. She was sure that Xylee was her daughter now, and she had completely turned back into her daughter. The hand holding her daughter trembled and hugged her tighter. Mom didn't cry. She tried to force a smile, but her tears kept falling. Mom, did Xylee make you unhappy? Tears welled up in Xylee's innocent big eyes. No, no. Xylee is the best. Mom is so happy. Lin Suying picked up Xylee, and she could really feel that Xylee was very weak now, and fell to the level of almost the Marquisate. You have to know that Xylee had really reached the God realm before. Otherwise, it would be impossible to kill the 8 ancient abyss monarchs that had merged so easily. Mom, I'm hungry. I want to eat something, I want to eat the noodles you made. Xylee touched her stomach, which was flat, and her mind was a little confused, as if she had forgotten many things, but it seemed that everything was normal. Mom, I'll go make it for Xylee now, okay? Yes, yes. Xylee clapped excitedly. She looked around, and her big eyes finally lit up. Hey! Why are you all here? All the disciples also felt that Xylee had returned to the past, still the cute and lovely, the happy fruit in the sect. Perhaps the mysterious power in Xylee's body disappeared. Not bad. If it were before, Langxing might still need to rely on Xylee's power, but now they just hope that Xylee can grow up healthy and happy. Even if Xylee never grows up, other people in the sect can protect Xylee for life. Lin Suying went to cook noodles. Xylee looked at Zhang Mu, jumped up curiously and touched the horns on his head. Brother seems to be getting more and more handsome, especially this ox horn is too domineering. Our ox horn combination must continue to flourish. Although Zhang Mu wanted to tell his junior sister that this was a dragon horn, not an ox horn. But he still nodded vigorously. Moo. Then junior sister, you have to work hard too. This title used to make him blush and embarrassed to tell others, but now he doesn't care about it anymore. Instead, he feels emotional and recalls the days when he was with his teacher at the beginning. That period of time will always be the happiest time of his life. Second senior sister, do you want to eat chicken noodle soup? Xianyu and Ching Ching smiled. In the past, she disdained to call Xiaoli senior sister, always thinking that Xiaoli was a primary school student, an ignorant little kid, and she always called her Xiaoli Xiaoli. She never regarded Xiaoli as a senior sister, but more as a little sister who needed care. Now she is standing at the top of the world, admired by millions of people, and revered as the god of alchemy, but Xiaoli is still an ignorant little brat. Now she is willing to call him second senior sister sincerely. No. Xiaoli did not notice the subtle changes in everyone's mentality at all. In her mind, she was more afraid of being dominated by junior sister Kinking's chicken soup. That was a nightmare that would never go away. Hey, junior brother 4 seems to be much stronger. Xiaoli scratched her head. In her impression, junior brother 4 was more like a skinny monkey, but now he is walking like a dragon and a tiger, and is very powerful in battle. Junior brother 5 seems to be about the same. Her eyes continued to sweep. She fell on Mai Wang, the cute kid who was younger than her, 6th junior brother, 6th junior sister, hee, 6th junior sister is still so cute. She walked forward, with the demeanor of a senior sister, and pinched Mai Wang's face. Then she acted like a little adult. 6th brother. Senior sister thinks you have the potential to join the New Ma group. What do you think? Do you want to join us? No. Although 6th brother feels that he is a social genius now, he seems to have turned back into a social phobia in front of 2nd sister. He turned his eyes again. Looking at little 7 Nicole Lin. Everyone suddenly realized that Lin stopped crying. Xiaoli looked up at the tall elf. Unknowingly, little 7 had grown up so big. She touched her little head again. Still only a little bit taller. Why can't I grow taller? Second senior sister. Lin squatted down, her eyes gradually regained their spirit. Just now, she saw something flying out of the second senior sister's body, and left here with the vague light and shadow sitting on the tree hole. Before that, she felt a sense of death. The sense of separation that rose from her heart made her unable to suppress her emotions. She thought it was the teacher who was leaving. But now she felt it again, the teacher seemed to be the teacher, still sleeping there steadily, without any abnormality. But she was very curious. What exactly was the vague light and shadow that made her unable to control her sadness? Looking at the beautiful, delicate, tall, and elegant Xiao Qi, Xiao Li finally realized that her problem was a bit big. Asked a sole question. How long have I slept? 18 years. This number made Xiao Li fall to the ground, 18 years. Why can I sleep so well, why haven't I grown taller? She recalled the memory of 18 years ago. It seemed that she chose to break through in order to save her mother, and then everything was blurry, as if she had killed a monster, and then she was very tired and fell asleep. She finally came to a conclusion. You can't grow taller by sleeping. No. She found another problem. It has been so long, what about her brother and sister? She looked up suddenly. Two familiar and unfamiliar faces came into view. And that kind and warm voice of sister. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to let us know, we will deal with it as soon as possible, thank you for your understanding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 509. Looking at such a tall brother and sister, Xiao Li almost cried. But her dignity as a sister stopped her. Are you Xiaojin? She looked at the handsome tall boy and asked blankly. Su Xiaojin nodded. Are you Xiao Xiao? She asked again, looking at her slim sister. Su Xiao Xiao nodded. Ah. Xiao Li thought she was going crazy, but Lin Suiying came back with a face in her hand, thinking something was wrong. Xiao Li looked at her very seriously. He asked a question that made everyone laugh. Mom, did I pay for the phone bill? Why am I still so short even though my younger brothers and sisters have grown so big? Xiao Li's expression was serious. Lin Suiying burst out laughing. Who told you to sleep without eating? Eat this bowl of noodles quickly. If you eat more noodles cooked by your mother, you will grow taller. So lying. Xiao Li is still the little Li who is easily persuaded. Met everyone. Xiao Li looked at the figure on the other leaf bed and ran over quickly. Dad. Dad. Wake up. Looking at his father's face that had not changed for decades, Xiao Li became more and more sure of his theory that people would not grow up as long as they slept. After Xiao Li made such a fuss, the depressing atmosphere finally faded away. But the teacher still showed no sign of waking up. But everyone's mentality has improved a lot. Xiao Li has woken up and returned to normal. Does this mean that the teacher is about to wake up too? In that battle, 2 people were unconscious at the same time and were picked up by the world tree. Now that Xiao Li wakes up, the teacher must be not far away from returning. The star field outside the sky of the 3 realms. The sleeping 9-tailed fox wakes up. Just now, she dreamed of her teacher's return and woke up from her sleep. She looked around but saw nothing. Only 3 living worlds are still slowly merging. Is that Su Xian, the teacher who has returned from endless time and space? In the battle 18 years ago, Su Xian mobilized the power of the gray membrane to push out the 2nd divine envoy, the 9th divine envoy and the main god of the abyss. Only the teacher can mobilize the power of the gray film, so she felt that Su Xian was the returning teacher. But there are too many differences between the two. Faced with this, she didn't dare to intervene, for fear of making a wrong step and making the teacher never come back. Teacher, will you really come back? Looking at the 3 completely different life worlds that are changing with each passing day, Ari only has infinite sighs and longing in her heart. Little fox. At this moment, a familiar voice suddenly sounded in his ears. Even though that voice was so far away that she didn't know how many years had passed, she would always remember it in her heart and look forward to it. Teacher. Is it you? You're back. Ari's eyes were blurred with tears. She ran towards the distance, to the place where she was born. Sure enough, there was a blur of light and shadow sitting there. Teacher. She rushed over quickly, trying to rush into the teacher's arms, but she went straight through. Little fox, the teacher is really leaving this time. Su Xian looked at her with reluctance in his eyes, but he didn't have too many regrets. He had done everything he wanted to do. He has already experienced everything he should experience in the entire chaotic universe. There seemed to be nothing worth keeping him here. What's more, the price of staying here is to destroy countless good things. If he does that, it will be the biggest failure of his life. Little fox, don't be sad. Farewell is just an ordinary thing. Su Xian smiled, but the little fox cried so hard that he transformed into his true form and nestled at his feet. Teacher, where are you going? Ari asked. She didn't think the teacher would disappear so completely. She would definitely be able to find the teacher again. Where to go? Su Xian was stunned for a moment and looked at the endless void. Even when he was the most powerful, he had never seen the vastest world outside this chaotic universe. If you must choose a place to go, it must be endless emptiness. Outside this chaotic universe, there may be a larger and more exciting world, or there may be nothing at all, just endless darkness and loss. I want to go outside the universe as a teacher. Su Xian said a little apologetically, I'm sorry for you, my teacher. I made you wait for so long, but you made such a decision. No. Teacher, there is no need to apologize. Ali shed tears. I am very happy that the teacher can come back to see the disciple. Whatever you want to do, just go. The disciple will definitely come to you in the future. No matter where you go, disciples will definitely find you. Okay, the teacher is waiting for you. Su Xian nodded in agreement. To escape from the chaotic universe and go to the endless void, the power required is far beyond imagination. Even the most powerful people today are one step behind. And when these lives really reach that point, their mentality may change again, completely different from today. Here, life is an endless cycle. He finally broke out of this cycle, and he didn't want to go back. If there really is life in the future that reaches this point, he doesn't think anyone would be willing to go back. After I leave, you don't have to confine yourself to this star field anymore. There is a wider world outside, where you can pursue the true meaning of your own life. By the way, before I leave, I want to ask you for another favor. Su Xian looked towards the direction of the blue star. Go and worship the man named Su Xian as your master, and help him for the last time. It only takes 1 day. After this time, the star field membrane will be broken. Worship that human race as your master. Ari was about to refuse subconsciously, but she stopped. This was the teacher's last request, how could she bear to refuse? Whatever. It was just the last thing to do before leaving here. After all, it was the teacher's reincarnation, and it was still slightly related to her. I promise you. Ari nodded heavily. Thank you. Su Xian sincerely thanked his disciple, and then stepped out of the star field. The gray wall membrane could not stop his steps. Soon his breath completely disappeared from Ari's perception. Teacher, I will come to find you. Even if the chaos is destroyed, I will find you. Ali looked at the teacher who disappeared in the film with a firm gaze, and her faith was rekindled. Walking in the void, another figure gathered beside him, a little child. It was the power of the previous life of the separated Xiao Li, the 9 heavens empress of the Grey and Silence world. Xiao Li made the same choice as him. Not willing to be resurrected again. Preferably, like him, he turned into a wisp of true spirit and escaped into the endless void to welcome new opportunities, or be destroyed forever. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 510. Shuiyu Palace. After a series of farces, everyone left Su Xian's room again. Zioki Nicolin looked at Su Xian reluctantly. She had clearly seen the falling light and shadow, why did it disappear again? The teacher's condition even improved a little. She also left the room with everyone. Today is Xiao Xiao and Xiaojin's coming-of-age ceremony. The brother and sister agreed to break through the semi-god realm together today. Perhaps influenced by Xiaoli, the brother and sister have been very confident since childhood and have not learned the low-keyness of their mother and father at all. Everyone is looking forward to the breakthrough of Su Xiao Xiao and Su Xiaojin. The entire Blue Star Alliance is paying attention. Unlike Lin Suiying and Su Xian's mediocrity when they were young, these two siblings have shown extremely amazing talents since they were young. The geniuses of the same generation in the entire Blue Star are far behind. Xiaojin, Xiao Xiao, happy birthday. Lin Suiying personally made cakes for the two children. The senior brothers and sisters gathered together and sang happy birthday to the two youngest brothers and sisters. The top bosses of the entire Blue Star gathered in this small room. Happy birthday. Make a wish. Blowing out the candles, the brother and sister put their hands together, closed their eyes and made a wish. For 18 years, their wish has been the same, that is, they hope that their father will wake up soon. After making the wish, the brother and sister came out at the same time and flew to the top of the world tree. They looked at each other. There was some dissatisfaction in their eyes. From childhood to adulthood, no one of the same generation could compete with them, so the brother and sister naturally became each other's biggest competitors. The sister was dissatisfied with the brother who was born half a minute earlier, and the brother wanted to secure the title of brother. Su Xiaojin, I will definitely defeat you this time. The sister Su Xiaoxiao burst out with a tyrannical force, and the operation of everything around her became incompatible with the overall environment and slowed down a lot. This is the power of the reversal time. It's just that the realm of the two is not high enough, otherwise it would be enough to affect the time and space of a small world, and this breakthrough of the semi-god realm will produce a qualitative change. Come on. Su Xiaoxiao, I will let you know that brother is always brother. Su Xiaojin did not show any weakness. Time and space are one. Space power can also affect time. Below, a group of strong men from Blue Star looked at the two with great expectations. Su Xian broke the legendary limit at the beginning. Lin Suiying performed worse than Su Xian, but she was also a goddess of the generation. As the children of the strongest couple in Blue Star, they are destined to be extraordinary. They all expect the Su brothers and sisters to be better than their father. Let's start. The two took a step forward at the same time. The melodious sound of ancient bells came from heaven and earth. Rumble. Just one sound shocked countless strong men. Many people have broken through to the semi-god level in recent years, including Su Xian's other disciples, such as Xianyuan Qingqing, Sun Xiaokong, Nicolin, Wuxin, and Yuia Girl. When they broke through, they were not as loud as this sound. This gave everyone hope to break history. Limits are meant to be broken. The strong men all hope that the human race can become more and more prosperous, and that each generation will be stronger and stronger, which can prove that there is a more glorious future. Golden light fell from the sky. The heavenly level condensed. The brother and sister each occupied one pole. The movements were completely synchronized, and each of them set foot on the road to the heavenly steps. The ancient bells rang one after another, and the heavenly steps in the previous layers could not have any impact on them at all. The only thing that could make them pause was the 21st layer Blue Star tradition. In the past 18 years, there have been kings who broke through the demigod realm almost every year, and poor Luofei still firmly sat on the title of the weakest demigod. After a short pause, the brother and sister almost did not stop at all and continued to move forward. 21, 22, 30, 40, 50, 60. The 50 and 60th layers, which were thresholds for countless demigods, were also easily broken through one after another, just like the Thousand Machine King Su Xian in the past. However, as the overall environment has improved over the years, the number of demigods who have broken through the 60th layer has increased significantly. The trend of involution began to spread in the demigod circle. The threshold was gradually raised from the 60th layer to the 70th layer. Do you think that the children of His Majesty Su Xian and His Majesty Lin Suiying can reach the height of their parents? Many powerful people discussed. It's hard, isn't it? It's possible to surpass Her Majesty Lin Suiying, but it's very difficult to surpass Her Majesty Su Xian. That's right. Her Majesty Lin Suiying only lasted less than a second on the 99th floor of the Divine Road, while Her Majesty Su Xian wandered there for a long, long time. It's amazing to be able to reach Her Majesty Suiying's level. While discussing, the two children have been moving up and easily surpassed the 80th floor. The pace has become slower, but they still look calm. Until this moment, the pace of the brother and sister is still the same. Amazing tacit understanding. 81. 82. 83. The sound of the bell is getting louder and louder. At the top of the world tree, Lin Suiying, as a mother, looks at the scene with full pride in her eyes. The longing in her heart is getting stronger. When the two children were less than 1 year old, Su Xian fell into a deep sleep. Now that the children are about to enter the semi-god realm, Su Xian still hasn't woken up. She is praying that the two children can bring good luck. Mom, my brother and sister are so awesome. Xiao Li looked at his brother and sister who were stepping into the sky with envy. She always felt that the scene was familiar, but she couldn't remember anything. Lin Suiying held Xiao Li's hand tightly. She could feel that the mysterious power in Xiao Li's body had completely disappeared. Xiao Li would definitely return to normal and grow up healthily in the future. Although she also hoped that Xiao Li would always be so innocent and cute, she also knew in her heart that it was impossible. At this moment, Xiao Xiao and Xiaojin, brother and sister, had already stepped onto the 90th floor. The 90th floor, a completely different ladder, for the real strong, this can be regarded as a threshold. The two brothers and sisters who had been smooth sailing since birth finally felt the threat and test at this moment. The mental projection of the 90th floor made them feel great pressure. Is this the god in the chaotic universe outside the three realms? So strong. I will definitely become so powerful in the future. Facing the terrifying mental projection, the two brothers and sisters were more excited and passionate in addition to being nervous. They looked forward to going to a more powerful world. See the real gods and the wonderfulness of the chaotic universe. Dad and Mom have both embarked on the road to the gods at the 99th limit, I can't lose face. The two brothers and sisters were full of fighting spirit. They stepped onto the 91st floor, the 92nd floor, and finally the 93rd floor, where they felt a very familiar breath. At the age of 12, the two entered the Marquisate realm and encountered the Abyss battlefield for the first time. From then on, the following days were almost all spent fighting the Abyss. Although the Abyss monsters were repelled, counter-attacking the Abyss world was still an extremely difficult task. They could feel that the will of the Abyss world was much stronger than that of the Blue Star world. The upper limit of the Abyss creatures was also higher. At that time, they imagined whether there was a god in the Abyss, and asked their mother and many predecessors, but they did not get an answer. Now they can be sure that there must be a god in the Abyss world. But where did that god go?